Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. Coming to you live from the Arctic tundra.
Yeah, you're a wimp, though.
What you
I'm not... Okay. Two things can be true. One, it's cold in here. You're right. It's cold in here. Two, you're also a wimp. Both can be true.
It's so stinking cold in here. You also know that the AC vent blows literally directly right here. Like, there is a streamline down. I can see it. One day I'm going to put, like, a blanket or something up there so that it's not allowed to come out.
Would you like a news story?
Dateline!
Lyon, France.
Okay.
This was put in our Slack.
What's it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do know this news story.
From ESPN.
I laughed.
From ESPN. Although you can read it anywhere. Brazilian defender Marcelo. I love in soccer. In soccer, you can just have the one name. That rules.
Yep.
Now, the NBA's like that, but it's like
there's only select people.
It comes organically in the sense like Giannis, right? Giannis
or Luka.
Right?
And a lot of times it has to
Kobe,
do I feel like it has to do with names that are difficult to say, like difficult for us, the general U.S. public to say.
Antetokounmpo?
Yes.
Or Doncic?
Yeah, a lot of the foreign players I feel like go more by just
Kobe was,
Yeah,
but I think
true.
if you have a unique first name,
but like you don't just like
Steph?
Chris Paul, you're not saying just Chris
because
it could be exactly.
But Steph. Right,
but that's because people. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
because
that's
Stephen
branding.
is
That's
not.
branding. This is instead Marcelo is just a football player from Brazil. His name is Marcelo Antonio Guedes Filho, commonly known as Marcelo. I love that. Anyway, Brazilian defender Marcelo was dropped from the Lyon first team. This is in the Ligue 1, which is the Premier League in France, was dropped from the Lyon first team due to continuous farting and laughing in the dressing room. Sources have told ESPN. As ESPN reported in August, the 34-year-old was expelled from the senior squad following Lyon's 3-0 defeat at the hands of Angers. Marcelo was caught laughing during Captain Leo Dubois' speech to rally the troops following the game, which didn't go down well with manager Peter Bose and sporting director Juninho. However, according to ESPN sources, Marcelo was also disciplined by the club for repeatedly farting among his teammates in the dressing room and laughing in the presence of Juninho and Bose.
Amazing.
You
Hell
know what?
yeah, brother.
You know what? I'm on your side, Marcelo. Okay?
I think
at times, especially at times, because obviously this is part of, and you'll hear this from coaches, right? Mm-hmm. You'll lose the football game, it's a silent bus ride
Yes.
home. It better be a silent bus ride home.
Yeah.
You know what? If you're professionals, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
No, okay. I'm going to still agree with after a loss, you probably shouldn't just rip one and start laughing. Like that as a player would upset the hell out of me. But at other times, they are.
Farts are funny.
But there are times to be funny and there are times to not be funny. I do agree with that. If you just suffered a terrible loss and someone in the locker room just rips it, I would be so mad. As a person who is too competitive, I would be so mad.
Look, it's the body's a beautiful thing.
I wouldn't be mad if it's like we're coming in from practice. That would be funny. Like farts are funny. I'm not denying that, but farts are not funny at certain times.
I think my favorite word here is continuous. Repeatedly and continuous. I don't know how often,
Like they might just not even care about the time.
He might have GI issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Let's feel bad for Marcelo.
Yeah, maybe
here.
He's laughing out of like pain. Like that's all he can do at that point.
I was going to say, laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I don't know.
Farts are funny. I can agree with that.
I want to back him up. Now maybe there's a time and place problem.
Yeah, if there's a time and place incident, I can see it. But just the fact what you said, continuous, that makes me think that they're just sick of him farting all the time, which makes the story that much better.
Like just like it's not that he did it at the wrong time; it's that he wouldn't stop.
Yeah, like
that's what.
That's great.
Yes. Anyway, Marcelo, today's Texas Football Today Soccer Player of the Day. Hit the theme, Expo. Pickle! Hit the arrow sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today, a show that's feeling quite warm.
No, that's a lie.
My name's Greg Tepper. Maybe the show's feeling warm. I didn't say you
That's
were.
also a lie.
I didn't say you were.
I'm telling the show it's
What
cold.
is the show? My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or you listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Dutch to the dork. She has a braid in her hair. She's Ashley Pickle.
I do. You
Look at
can't
that.
really see
Look
it
at that.
right now, but
You-
it is
You
there.
braids McGee.
I did.
That's what they
I
call 'em.
wanted it out of my face.
Yes. Okie dokie. Today is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, 198 days till Thanksgiving. Crappy birthday to John Wilkes Booth. Thumbs down, John Wilkes Booth.
I don't know who that is. Do I?
Ooh, this is a tough one.
Hang on.
You need to know that name. That's an important name in American history. John Wilkes Booth. Come on, Pickle.
Oh, yes.
He?
Yes. Assassinated Abe.
Correct.
Yes.
Killed Lincoln. Thumbs down to John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah,
The
not
official
cool.
stance, Dave Campbell's Texas Football. No good.
Probably shouldn't kill presidents.
Episode 1000.
or anyone for that matter. I'm just gonna put an X on murder while we're here.
You know what? Murder.
Not cool.
Thumbs down.
Quit doing it.
Quit doing the murders. Quit it.
I just felt like I said presidents, and I felt bad because I don't think anybody should get murdered. Well, okay.
I support you in this.
Thank
yes,
you.
No, I think you're right.
I just
Nobody should
needed to
get murdered.
clarify. Murder's
Ashley
not cool.
Pickle, anti-murder. Episode 1382. Do you think
Oh, we're about to go on down a rabbit trail.
so? So the word assassination is
Uh-huh.
like reserved for people of a certain
Hierarchy almost.
like, you've gotta be
prestige.
prestige, right? Who is the least famous person that could be assassinated? Like, what's the bar there? Like, where's the bottom?
I thought that only was in regard to like officials.
Well, no, I mean,
Or
like,
is
there's
it-
a whole thing for like regicide is like when you kill a king or a queen,
Yeah.
which is a bad crime. Bad crime.
I mean, okay. Well,
Dope
answer this:
name.
if the vice president,
Regicide
if
is
the-
would be a great name. I'm sure there's a hardcore band named
Like, if the
Regicide.
vice-
Regicide. Sorry. Go on. We're off the rails on a Tuesday.
if the vice president was murdered, would that
That's an assassination.
That's an assassination.
I think any
So,
elected. I think any
any
elected
elected
official
official?
for sure.
But would that count for like a mayor?
But like, if
Like,
a
do we
famous
extend
if a
that?
famous actor, I think a mayor, yeah. I think if like I don't know. What
I don't
the,
think an actor would. Okay, so maybe we're saying in a
Does there have to
government
be-
position.
does there have to
almost?
be a political?
Yeah,
angle
because
to
kings
it?
and queens are technically in politics. So I feel like yes,
This is interesting. I don't know.
but I mean like, I don't know. School board people are elected officials. You know, like I don't know if your PTO president
Like, could a famous
would get
actor
assassinated.
could a famous actor be assassinated?
I don't know. Is there a Google definition here? Like I feel like we're probably. This is interesting.
Assassination, murder of a prominent or important person, such as a head of state, head of government, politician, member of a royal family, or CEO.
CEO is different.
Interesting. So, like, I'm not going to name names, but like, if there was
Uh-huh.
if the president of a company
Yeah.
were to get murdered, would that be an assassination?
I wouldn't hold it in that regard, but regard
If I got murdered, would it be an assassination?
no.
I'm not a prominent or important person
No.
enough. Like, what's the bar? Where's like my question is, what's that bar?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't
It's
know.
interesting. If a famous basketball player was murdered, if the sixth man on the Sacramento Kings was
Yeah.
murdered, would that be an assassination?
I don't think so. Murder is bad.
Murder's bad. Thumbs down to murder. That's the official stance of Texas football today. Episode 1382. On today's show, folks, it's Math Tuesday. It's also Murder Tuesday, apparently, but it's Math Tuesday.
And Farting Tuesday, whichever way you want to look
Boy,
at
it's been a weird show already. We're
Steph
5
asked
minutes
if
in.
farting was common in girls' locker rooms. Like, yeah, everyone farts.
Don't tell me that.
Okay.
It's Math Tuesday. We're going to talk about enrollments and why that's important and how it could shape what Class 6A, the playoffs, look like in 2022. We'll get into that. And then back half of the show, you have heard us talk a little bit about Athletes to Athletes, who is a partner of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're proud to partner with them. We are going to have you. We had a great opportunity to chat with one of the gentlemen who runs Athletes to Athletes, one of the founders and co-founders and CEOs of Athletes to Athletes. We will talk with him, hear all about what they've got cooking. We'll have that coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was timeout.
Oh, no.
Have to go back up. Nick Morton, Just Chad, Aaron Arbuckle, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in,
A
fellas.
lot of comments debating the merits of assassinations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's just something. It seems like a word we just like toss around and like we all agree when it is, but it's like not necessarily.
Yeah, there's not a hardcore
Yeah.
definition. It's kind of a make it your own judgment thing, which
Yeah.
is weird
Yeah.
in that context.
Anyway. Pickle, it is Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we dive into the numbers and we try to get you up to speed on what all the numbers are saying. So I've been laying out the 6A pages for the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Go to texasfootball.com/subscribe to get it mailed to you before it hits newsstands. And 6A, you may remember, the largest classification in Texas high school football, UIL Texas high school football, you may remember is unique because it is the only classification in the UIL left that does not pre-split their divisions. We have a 5A Division 1 and we have a 5A Division 2. Those two, the top 4 teams in each division or in each district, make the playoff. Each of the 16 districts make the playoffs. They then go to their own separate brackets and they never intertwine. So College Station last year was a 5A Division 1 team. Aledo was a 5A Division 2 team. They were never going to see each other in the playoffs.
No.
They were going to separate brackets. They were always, from the moment that realignment came out, they were always going to be separate. 6A is different. 6A, if you didn't know, and sorry, every podcast is somebody's first, so if you know this, I apologize. 6A is different in the sense that 32 districts, top 4 in each district make the playoffs, and then based on who those top 4 are, the 2 largest schools go to the Division 1 bracket, and the 2 smallest schools go to the Division 2 bracket. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it does matter who makes the playoffs to determine who goes to which bracket and what the brackets look like. So last year, you may remember Galena Park North Shore was the 6A Division 1 state champion, and Austin Westlake was the 6A Division 2 state champion. Now, Galena Park North Shore is always going to be in 6A Division 1. They are one of the largest schools in the state. I think they got 4,500 kids in it. It's a large school. They're always going to be there. Teams like, okay, so Highland Park makes the move to 6A this year. Highland Park is in no danger of going to 6A Division 1. They will be in the 6A Division 2 bracket because they are one of the smallest schools in Class 6A. There's no concern there. But
There are teams on the edge.
there are teams in the middle. And there are teams that can bounce between Division 1 and Division 2.
I feel like a prime example of this is down in the Westlake, Lake Travis district. That's one we are always watching every single year.
We'll get to that. And so this is something that you always keep an eye on, and that's why, like, if you find us in week 11 paying super close attention to like
Austin High
teams,
versus yeah.
right, 2 teams that aren't going to win the state championship. Let's be honest, like that
yeah.
we don't think that aren't ranked or anything. It's because which of those teams gets in may determine where a contender does go. Okay, and so these teams can bounce around a little bit. And so when realignment came out in February, obviously the first thing everyone looked at is which district every team is in. Okay? That's, District 1, District 7, whatever. The next thing that you should be looking at in the 6A ranks is the enrollment number, because it's based on enrollment. And so I went through, as I was doing last night, I'll be honest, while I was doing 6A pages was the first time I really sat down and looked at the enrollment numbers within these districts. And there are a few very interesting things that I want to bring up. So I've got a list that I put together of teams that may change brackets from where they were in 2021 to 2022. So teams that were in Division 1 may go to Division 2, and teams that were in Division 2 may go to Division 1. So I put together a list. I believe there's 9 of them that I came up with. And obviously some pretty heavy hitters here. We'll start up there at the top. Austin Westlake. So Austin Westlake is always kind of there in the middle. And last year, you may remember, they went to the 6A Division 2 bracket, won the 6A Division 2 state championship. The reason they went to the 6A Division 2 state championship instead of 6A Division 1 was because Lake Travis and Austin Bowie made the playoffs. Now, here's an interesting wrinkle here. First of all, they are 3rd out of 9 in their enrollment ranking. So they would need, to go to Division 2, they would need both of the teams that are bigger than them to make the playoffs. That's Lake Travis. Feels pretty safe.
Yep.
I think Lake Travis is probably going to make the playoffs.
Seems normal.
And Austin Del Valle. Austin Del Valle went 2-8 last year.
Yep.
And I think the district got tougher because you're going to have teams. Austin Bowie, by the way, is now smaller than Westlake.
Oh,
so
wow.
if the same teams were to make the playoffs last year or this year,
Westlake
so it was
would go
Lake
D1.
Travis, Westlake,
Bowie.
Bowie, and then they dropped one of the teams moved out of the district. But and then any other team besides Del Valle, Westlake would go to the Division 1 bracket.
Which is huge because
Right
then they would
now-
likely see Lake Travis again.
And by the way, so basically, if you're Westlake, you're rooting very hard for if you want to go to the Division 2 bracket. I don't think they care. If they want to go to the Division 2 bracket, they're rooting very hard for Del Valle to get in.
Yeah.
Because if Del Valle doesn't get in, Westlake goes to the Division 1 bracket, plain and simple. Same thing up in the DFW Metroplex with South Lake Carroll. South Lake Carroll was in the 6A Division 1 bracket last year. What's very interesting about this year is they are, just because of population shifts, they are in a similar situation that Westlake. That if the same teams make the playoffs, they will go to Division 2. That's because Northwest Eaton, which was in their district last year, is now bigger than them. Now bigger than them. So, as a result, just because of population shifts, Northwest IC is blowing up out there. So last year, the teams that made the playoffs were Keller, Eaton, South Lake Carroll, and Byron Nelson. If that were to happen again, which I would say, there's a couple other teams that I think could be in the mix there. Fossil Ridge, I think, could get in that mix as well. But if that were to happen again, Carroll will go to the Division 2 bracket, which obviously would reshape the way that whole thing looks. DeSoto's another example. DeSoto has been a long-time Division 1 team, but they are now, by virtue of one school coming into their district, and that is Skyline. Skyline, moving into their district, really throws things off because they are bigger than them. Also, Waxahachie's now bigger than DeSoto. So similar thing, that if the same teams were to make the playoffs this year, which were Waxahachie, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, and Duncanville, Cedar Hill DeSoto will go Division 2 with Cedar Hill instead of, because Waxahachie has outgrown them. In the Houston area, Alvin Shadow Creek, it's so crazy to think about this. Remember, they won a 5A state championship just a few years ago.
Yep.
And now they're 6th out of 8 in enrollment in their district, which means they are almost certainly going Division 1. They're almost certainly going Division 1. Or rather, they're 6 out of 8. So I should say the two teams, if they're smaller than them, they would go Division 1. Now, who are those two teams? One of them is Pearland Dawson. I think they're one of the 4 best teams in that district, in District 23 6A. The other one's Strake Jesuit, and that's going to be the real curveball here. If Jesuit gets in instead of A-Leaf Taylor, if Jesuit gets in instead of Alvin, then Shadow Creek goes to Division 1, which would be crazy to see them in Division 1.
Pretty likely.
I would say it's going
Out
to
of
be.
that, I would think that Jesuit would get in over the other two.
I think Strike's probably going to be slight favorite, maybe, with the way that it looks. Rockwall Heath's another one. Rockwall Heath is now they are the third biggest school in their district, in District 10. As a result, they would need both teams that are bigger than them, Rockwall and Mesquite Horn, to make it. That would mean that Tyler Legacy would have to miss the playoffs, or Mesquite, or other good teams, or Royce City, by the way.
Yeah, that seems a little more far off.
So they look like they're probably going Division 1. I would say right now. There's a good chance they're going Division 1. Same thing goes. Now, one team that's guaranteed to change is Prosper. Prosper's been blowing up. Prosper's huge. Prosper is now the second biggest team in their district.
Yep.
Only Allen is bigger than them. So they're guaranteed to go.
And that's never going to change.
They're guaranteed to go Division 1.
Right.
No doubt about it. Their days of being in Division 1 or Division 2 are probably over.
Rock Hill is growing, but not as fast as Prosper itself is.
The one in the middle, so let's go to District 12, where there's two teams that I think are very interesting. Temple and Killeen Harker Heights. Now, remember, Killeen is opening a new school, Killeen Chaparral. So as a result, I believe they're pulling from Harker Heights.
Yes.
And so their enrollment has plummeted. They are now the smallest team in that district. So they are definitely going Division 2, no
Which
matter
is
what.
crazy because we thought that they were legit
Right.
contenders in Division 1 last year.
Temple's interesting. Temple's right in the middle of their district. There's 7 teams. They're the 4th biggest. So if two teams,
Brian Hutto and Midway are bigger than them.
Brian Hutto and Midway are bigger than them. Exactly. So if two of Brian Hutto Midway make the playoffs, then they'll stay in Division 2.
Which seems likely.
But if two of Harker Heights, Copperas Cove, or Pflugerville Weiss make the playoffs,
Weiss is on the come up.
that's what I'm saying. I think that's a 50-50 shot for Temple.
Yeah, I mean,
where they're
being
gonna go.
honest, because you don't.
I think that's
Hutto's got to
50-50
figure
shot.
some stuff out. They've also had a lot of off the field stuff with their stadium, but I feel like they've got to figure some stuff out.
But I think they could. I think it's a 50-50 shot as to whether or not Temple.
Especially because we just don't know how good Harker Heights will be with talent having a split between the two of them.
The other one is Katy Cinco Ranch. So Katy Cinco Ranch is their days of being in Division 2 are done. They are now the second biggest Katy ISD school. They have surpassed Tompkins. They're bigger than Tompkins now. And the way that district breaks out, they are guaranteed to go to the Division 1 bracket. So those are 9 schools that either will or could change divisions in 2022. And obviously, these are contenders, right?
Yeah.
We're talking, especially up there at the top, Westlake, Southlake, Carroll, DeSoto. Those are teams with state championship aspirations, and other teams that have won titles in the past, like Shadow Creek, right?
Yep.
So that's one thing to keep in mind, that as we inch forward towards Texas high school football season, we're going to have to take a look at what these enrollments look like. Because, yes, it's fun to see who's going to play who in district play, but perhaps more importantly in the 6A ranks, it matters how big you are and what the other teams around you are going to do. So, interesting stuff there on Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Step also said Prosper has high school number 3 opening up soon. It'll be in the 24 realignment.
So they could.
That area is insane.
It's blowing up. Yeah, because remember, they opened up Rock Hill. Think about that. They opened up Rock Hill, and Prosper's still the second biggest team in their district.
Yeah, between that and the Frisco schools opening up, that whole northwestern part of greater DFW, if you want to call it, is insane over there.
It's crazy. Anyway, happy Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Get the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed directly to you before it hits newsstands. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. If you want a list of what every enrollment of every school is, TexasFootball.com/subscribe.
We got you.
That's a really inefficient way of looking up the enrollments.
Yeah.
But we do have them all in the magazine. Pickle, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I guess it was a couple weeks ago. Time is no meaning. We caught up. You may have heard us mention on the podcast that we've entered into a partnership with our friends at Athletes to Athletes. It is a college counseling program specifically designed for college athletes, athletes who are deciding where they want to go to college. And we sat down with the co-founder and CEO of Athletes to Athletes, Reed Meyer, who has a really interesting personal story
and we'll get to that at a different point in time.
Yeah, as to why he started this company. It's really particularly personal to him, but we had a great conversation with him to sit down and figure and get to know him and get to know what Athletes to Athletes does. So here's my conversation with Reed Meyer of Athletes to Athletes here on Texas Football Today. The recruiting landscape can be awfully hard to navigate. We hear that all the time from players and parents. One organization that's attempting to streamline that process is Athletes to Athletes, and we're here to chat with the co-founder and CEO of Athletes to Athletes at athletetoathletes.com. It's Reed Meyer. Reed, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start with this. What is Athletes to Athletes, and why was this some sort of passion project for you?
Absolutely, yeah. So Athletes to Athletes is a one-on-one advising service for high school student athletes that want to go compete in college. And we help them navigate the college evaluation, college selection, and college recruitment process. And it was sort of born out of my own personal experience and the experience of college athletes that I know well, and sort of that tree that's extended from there. And really it's just this realization that, we've created this very athlete-minded search process for student athletes when it comes to college. We don't really take into consideration the academic factors, the personal, preferences, the financial needs, and all the different aspects that make up what is this kid, this student. And so we're really trying to address those issues and make sure that when our kids find their right fit, they're making that decision for the next 40 years and not just the next 4.
You mentioned your own personal experience, and that was integral. Can you go into that? Tell me a little bit about what happened with you and why that kind of sparked this organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you the real short version.
Yeah.
So basically, I was a recruited student athlete. Spent my time going to 4 different colleges in 4 years. Started a Division I program as a scholarship athlete at Texas Tech University, and ultimately ended up getting my degree from the University of Texas as a full-time student. So I sort of went through the entire gambit of Division I scholarship athlete, walk-on junior college athlete, to burning out of my sport entirely and just becoming a full-time student. So what defined me for the first 16, 17 years of my life ended up being something that I couldn't even pursue throughout the course of my college career. And a lot of it was due to the fact that I felt like I really went through the process in the high school recruiting aspect wrong. I was very reactive, it was very athlete heavy, and I made this realization when I got to college that no matter how great sports are, they cannot make up for the other 80% of what your college experience is going to be.
Well, and I think we hear that all the time. People get an offer from, if you're a football player, let's use football as an example. Football player, you get an offer from this big football university, you go play there. That might be all you look at. It seems to me that Athletes to Athletes, what you guys are doing is trying to expand that vision and look at it more holistically. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yes, you're absolutely right. We want to make a holistic decision when it comes to the college process, and not to diminish anybody who's going to get a scholarship offer from a Power 5 Division I conference, everything down to an opportunity to play at the Division III level, NAIA, NJCAA. Who cares? We want kids to be able to succeed wherever they are, and for different kids that means different things. And we think it's important to sort of shy away from this unilateral bar of success that Power 5 means success, and that's just not the case. For some people it does, and for some people playing at a Division II level, being able to study abroad, get a international business degree, or hey, if you want to go to Colorado School of Mines and play D3 and get a blacksmithing degree, then that's the right fit for you. And there's no one mold that everyone needs to try and fit, or one tier that everyone needs to try and reach.
So then how do you start that process? If let's just say I'm an athlete and I've got an offer from 5 or 6 different places and I'm not really sure which one is right for me. How does Athletes to Athletes start that process of getting them to where they ultimately belong?
Yeah, absolutely. So we generally start actually at the sophomore level for a lot of our kids, sophomore into early junior year. So those kids that are getting those verbal offers at that time, it's certainly a bit of a different conversation because they are sort of getting that interest at an earlier age, and we definitely help them work through that process. But for a lot of our kids, it's really understanding the foundation of what is being a college student, what is being a college athlete, what is going through the recruiting process, what is evaluating colleges holistically, sort of understanding that process as a whole, and then sort of specializing in different places of, hey, if this kid needs a little bit of help communicating with colleges, let's help them address that. Hey, if this family needs a little bit of help with understanding financial aid and outside scholarship opportunities, let's help them understand those as well. And ultimately ending up with the graduation phase where we help them process, essays, resumes, applications, scholarship applications, whatever that might be, to maximize their opportunities at the next level. And so, we really think through that holistic process, we're helping these kids really just understand how to learn how to be a college kid and learn what their passion points are to apply that when it comes to deciding where to play at the next level.
You know, you guys are trying to streamline the process. I'm interested kind of in your experiences. What do you feel like are the biggest pitfalls for kids whenever they're going through this process? What are you on the lookout for specifically whenever you're going through this?
Absolutely. I think, one of the biggest things that we find, and it's nobody's fault, but, kids want to live up to the expectations of outside forces, whether that be parents, whether that be friends, whether that be media or whatever it might be. There's this expectation that, if I'm not going here, if I'm not getting talked to here, if I don't have a verbal offer here, then somehow I'm not succeeding or somehow I'm not reaching some level that I've arbitrarily set for myself. And we try really hard to break that mold and that understanding of, hey, that line is different for everybody. You just need to figure out what fits you and what is the right place for you to be, and let's go after those types of schools and those types of divisions and those types of institutions aggressively and unapologetically. If that's where you're going to succeed, let's go. Let's do it.
Reed Meyer, the co-founder and CEO of Athletes to Athletes, athletes2athletes.com. Reed, appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click.
It's Reed Meyer.
Just my face.
I know! It's Reed Meyer. It's Reed Meyer. From Athletes to Athletes, athletes2athletes.com/DC to check out what they are all about. We appreciate him stopping by. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts?
You mentioned it beforehand, but I'll bring that back up. Reed, who you just heard talking about that, has a very, very cool personal story, and we do have an interview with me talking to him about that, so we'll roll that again soon. So that's not it with our Athletes to Athletes interviews, but the other one is very, very interesting and cool to hear.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
and I should probably table this and package it for the pre-show tomorrow, but Powers is here tomorrow, so we'll have enough entertainment.
This is true.
You are laying out pages for the first time in the magazine. You're laying out the 2A pages, the 2A capsule pages.
Which is difficult.
How's it going? Are you loving it? I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, but as you know, and I think people obviously who have the magazine know, but just don't realize it from a design perspective. When you're laying out 6A pages, every single district gets their whole entire page basically. So you have a lot longer capsules. 2A, we split it into half pages. So the editing process of that is a lot more it's intricate.
More intense. It's
Yeah.
more intense because
So-
if you don't know, you have a half page for each district, and so you have to make all of the capsules, all the previews fit in that. Now, I don't want you to feel too bad for yourself because I'm about to get going on the 1A pages.
Yeah.
And we do 3 districts per page.
Yeah,
so I am
that is
cramming them in. Now there's fewer.
Yeah.
The reason we do that is because there's fewer players because
Yes.
it's 6-man. So, but anyway.
But yeah, no, I mean it's interesting to see how the sausage is made. Like I feel like I'm definitely helping out a lot more this year and contributing more, which is great. But
You want to do it again next year?
yeah, we'll talk.
What's your music of choice while you're doing it?
Last night it was Usher.
Because
I tweeted it out. I think I'm gonna start tweeting it out every night.
Because for people who work in certain industries can understand this, that work is not hard.
But you have to
It's
focus.
just tedious and time consuming. And so a good musical background is imperative. That's why we have lo-fi chill hop beats to study / relax to. Last night was Synthwave Monday for me. I was
very
rocking a
nice.
little synthwave.
Very nice.
My Spotify, shout out Spotify. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, I suppose. My Spotify is entirely comprised of just like playlists that I find throughout the year. I'm like, that would be good to lay out
Magazine.
capsules too.
Yep, I was just gonna say in my especially when lo-fi is great for me when I'm reading pages. Like the last 2 weeks of May will be a big lo-fi thing for me because when I'm like legitimately reading, this is a lot more where I have to read some, but it's a lot more kind of knowing what I'm looking for and not having to ingest it as much, so I can kind of do like music with lyrics. But it still needs to be kind of calming. So yeah, last night it was the My Way album by Usher's My Way album.
Usher.
So I'm thinking I'm going to stick. The R&B theme seems to stick. It's kind of soothing.
Okay.
So
Great.
I might start tweeting out my album of choice whenever I'm
It is
editing.
comforting knowing that at 11:45 at night, if I need to text you or Ish,
we're both up.
you'll just
Absolutely.
be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah. I had to do that last night when I couldn't find one of the capsules that I needed. I was like, it was like almost midnight, and I was like, They're both
They're
doing the
up.
exact same thing that I'm doing.
I'm sitting there and just got done watching the Warriors and Grizz.
Yep. That is the nice thing about having sports on super late, like especially like the Suns Mavs game. Since the Suns are a West Coast team, it's a 9:00 game, so it's like,
Yeah.
all right,
These are the
bet.
days. These are the days.
West Coast games are great.
Why I have MLB TV.
Yep.
I watch a lot of Padres.
It's-
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Reed Meyer of Athletes to Athletes, athletes.com/DC for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow. Greg Powers is back. Texas Football Today.